Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. How are you today? Alhamdulillah, I'm pretty good. Thank you. How's weather in your area? Well, same as in my area today is a bit cloudy. But I hope your spirit doesn't get cloudy. Alright, let me check the attendance. Is everybody present? Very good. Everybody is present. Yup. Are you ready for today's lesson? Wow, I like your spirit. Okay, then let me share my screen. As you can see on my screen, today we will learn about type of short story, namely fable. Maybe short stories are familiar for you. Anyone still remember what a short story is? And what type of short story? Yeah, Jack, please. Right, nice answer. Alright, everyone, so when the last time you read a fable? Last month. Yesterday. Well, you forgot. Maybe you have not read a fable for a long time, so you forgot, right? But it's okay, everyone. Today we will talk about fable. And this is the materials outline that we will discuss today. The first is definition of fable, and then the purpose of fable, generic structure, language pictures, and example, and the last one is exercise. Alright, next, the definition of fable. Anyone know what the definition of fable? That's right, fable is animal story. However, to be more complete, fable is a narrative form that usually pictures animals that are behave and speak as human beings to highlight human stupidity and weakness. Fable has value morals or lesson behavior are woven into stories and are often formulated explicitly in the end of the story. Alright, after that, what is the purpose of making fable? The purpose of a fable is to entertain the reader with a story. Then, generic structure. In fable, there is 4 structure. The first one is orientation. It is about the opening paragraph where the character of the story are introduced. Well, usually in the introduction, the author describes about character, the nature of the character, and for example, the character is smart or cunning or for example lazy and more, and then the setting of place or the scan of the story, for example in the forest or in the river and many more. Alright, number 2 is complication, where the problems in the story is developed. In this complication is the emergence of problems. And number 3 is resolutions, where the problems in the story are solved. At resolutions, the problem has started to decrease and usually the problem has been resolved. And the last is coda or reorientation. Lesson from the story usually described here, or in this coda explain how the ending of the story. Alright. After we know generic structure, we must also know the language pitches used in a fable. Anyone know? Nothing? Number one is past tense. The verb or sentence used in the fable must be in the past tense. Or use a verb. Anyone know? How many verbs? Anyone knows? Yep, very nice. Verb 2. Because it tells of events in the past. For example, of the words are killed, drunk, and more. And number 2 is adverb of time. The adverb of time is a very characteristic of fable. Usually, fables start with the words once upon a time or long time ago. And one more. Yeah, one day. Long ago. Yeah, it's very good. Alright, and well, sentence like that were usually used to start a fable. And the number 3 is time conjunction. An example of the word is when. When here is not ask about the time, like when are you going to school, or not like that. But when here, for example, when the grasshopper are busy singing, the ants work hard to gather food. For the next word example is then, suddenly, and many more. Yes, and number 4 is action verb. A verb that shows an action. Example of words are killed, dug, walked, and etc. And number 5 is direct speech. It is to make the story lively. Usually in a fable, there is a direct sentence marked with quotation markers, or in Indonesian is tanda kutip. However, for direct speech, it does not use simple past tense, but simple present tense. For example, friend, what did the bear whisper into your ears? The other's friend replied. Yep, that's the example of direct speech. Well, class, that was about fables. Okay, so far is it understandable? Was my explanation too quick? If there is something you don't understand, please don't hesitate to ask me. Hello? Is anyone here? Have all my students moved to another planet? Mars or Pluto? Oh, sure. Dear, please. Okay, nice question, Jenny. Yes, I will switch in Indonesian. Jadi dalam fabel ini, kata Wen tidak menanyakan waktu seperti, "Hai Jenny, kapan kamu akan pergi ke sekolah?" Atau "Kapan kamu akan tidur?" Bukan yang seperti itu, tapi Wen di sini artinya adalah ketika, ya. Misalnya, ketika jangkrik bernyanyi, semut bekerja keras mengumpulkan makanan. Nah, seperti itu. Okay, I need understood? Alright, thank you. Are there any more questions? Well, if not, we will continue our discussion. Alright, class, next is example. What are some examples of fables? Let's start to mention what fables do you know? Okay, good. What else? Perfect. Well, that's a lot. And this is an example of fables. I'm sure you guys have read some of this fable, right? Okay. Next, I have a video about fable stories. Please watch carefully because after watching the video, I will give you a little practice. But don't worry, it's very easy. But if you don't listen to it, it will be difficult. Okay, let's play the video.
The Lion and the Mouse. We all know the lion is the king of the jungle. Once a lion was fast asleep when a little mouse ran up and down on him. This awakened the lion. He was angry and caught the mouse with his huge paw. Then he opened his big mouth to swallow him. "Please forgive me, O King of Jungle," cried the little mouse. "I shall never forget your kindness. I may be small, but who knows? Someday I may turn out to be some kind of help to you." The lion laughed and took pity and set the mouse free. A few days later, the lion got caught in a hunter's net. He roared, but in vain. The little mouse heard and ran towards the lion. Immediately, the mouse started cutting the net with its tiny teeth. Soon, the lion was free and thanked the little mouse. Thereafter, they became friends. Moral: a friend in need is a friend indeed.
Is it fun? What moral of the lion and the mouse story? It was at the end of the video. Exactly. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Other than the message contained in the story is that the good we do will be returned with kindness. Yeah, class, are you ready with the exercise? Ready? Okay, let's go. Now we move to next exercise. Yep, I have 5 questions related to the story earlier. Those who want to answer, please raise your hand. Okay? First question is, who are the main characters? Please, anyone want to answer? Yes, please, Jake. Perfect. Absolutely. The answer is the lion and the mouse. The second question is, why was the lion angry? Earlier in the video, the lion looked angry, right? Try to answer about it. Yes? Very good. The answer is the mouse disturbed the lion. Now the third is, what does the mouse promise the lion? Okay, please mark. Very good. The answer is the mouse promised to help him one day. Alright, next question. What happens to the lion next day? Yes, please, Kylie. Perfect. Yes. The answer is lion was cuffed in a net. Right. Last question. Did the lion and mouse become friends? What? I hear 2 voices. Yes, I know. So, yes or no? Yeah, all right. The answer is yes. It's great that you guys can answer all the questions. This means that you have understood and listened well. And the conclusion for today's material is a narrative form that usually pictures animals that are behave and speak as human beings to highlight human stupidity and weakness. A fable has a value, moral, or lesson for behavior are woven into stories and are often formulated explicitly in the end of the story. And the purpose of fable is to entertain the reader with a story and from generic structure, orientation, complication, resolution, and coda. And for language pictures is past tense, adverb of time, time conjunction, action verb, and direct speech. Wow, our discussion is finished, guys. But I have a little gift for you to at home. Why? Don't be scared. Is it gift? The gift is da-da-dum. Alright, look for fables and change one of the following aspects. The first one is character traits or ending of the story. You can choose just one from this option. Can it be understood for the homework? Very good. And this is the reference I used for today's material. And next week we will discuss about novel, my students, so please read at home, okay? Alright, Alhamdulillah, our class for today is finished. If nothing else is asked, let's close the class by saying Hamdalah. See you next week, dear. Have a nice day.